UFC 318 full card predictions. Let's get right into it. A lot of fights on this card, man, that are just, I don't know, okay? A lot of untrustworthy fighters on this card, so if you've been following my Bet MMA, I'll put the link in the description. Did well last weekend, up 5 units, so make sure you guys go tune in over there. But we've only got one bet up so far. I'll get to it in here, but man, this card is just brutal, man. I'm going to be honest. It's hard to find good, spots, but I'm doing my best here. Carli, Judice, Nicolle, Caliari. I like Carli, Judice. She's big flyweight, good striking for the division. Takedown defenses seems to be improving. I don't think she should be minus 300 or 335, but good performance last time out. Nessie Dubin's not really a good fighter. I'll take Judice here. Not too confident, but I also really don't care. Sorry, that's fucked up. Next up, Bruno versus Jackson Mcvey. Interesting one here, man. Bruno was minus 700 a day ago, I want to say. Now he's not. And I wanted to get plus 500 on Mcvey. I didn't end up getting it, so now I'm just staring at it. But this matchup's interesting, man. It's hard for me to sit here and pick Mcvey to win just because the guy has literally no fight past 3 minutes, so it's hard to tell how good he is. There's so many questions that haven't really been answered, But from what you can see, he's going to throw kicks from the outside. I don't think his boxing is good. His kicking ability from the outside is okay. His clinch game is pretty good. I think that he'll have a hard time getting that going, especially against a guy like Bruno with great judo. Jiu-jitsu is pretty solid. He might be able to have some success maybe from his back in this fight. It's an interesting one because I feel like on one hand, he's a guy that can kick from the outside, and Bruno doesn't seem like he's a striker that can find an entry on these kicks or, close distance well. He's just really a powerful guy, So we'll see how Mcvey does here. I can't really pick him, but if he was plus 500, line goes back up maybe. We'll see it by Friday or something. I'll take him, put a little bit on him. But my pick has to be Bruno just because the experience, and Bruno's not some trash middleweight like Dumas. He's actually pretty damn good. Coming off a win versus Armen Petrosian, underdog, where he was an underdog there. I picked him to win. Got that wrestling going. He does have good wrestling. I think that that's really what he does is wrestling. You haven't really got to see a whole lot of it in the UFC due to his matchmaking. But in this fight, I think he should keep it on the feet because Mcvey seems to have some pretty aggressive jiu-jitsu on the mat, long limbs, so maybe he'll be able to get something off his back. But from what I've seen from his jiu-jitsu, it looks pretty damn nice. So I'm going to go with Bruno here. I would stay away from this fight in general unless I can get plus 500 on Mcvey again. I won't be taking him at plus whatever it was. What was it, plus 415? Yeah, I won't be doing that. But anyways, Bruno will be my pick. I think he'll finish the fight. And I do expect this fight to finish inside the distance relatively quickly. And relatively quickly we'll know if Jackson Mcvey is good enough to be in the UFC or if he's not. So my pick is Bruno, but a little bit of a wide number. Let's move on. This is what I mean with this card is just hard to find, good things. Look at this matchup right here, man. Ryan Spann versus Lukasz Brzeski. I can't believe that Lukasz Brzeski has a win, and his win is actually a win that's aging incredibly well. Walter Walker, I still don't understand how Walter lost that fight. But Brzeski, he's horrible. He's horrible. His boxing's not great. I will say his leg kicks and his kicks in general are okay. His boxing's not bad, but there's nothing behind it. He's not nearly as explosive as a guy like Waldo Cortez or anybody that's been able to knock Ryan Spann out. Just no. He doesn't have that kind of, even someone like Anthony Smith, he just doesn't have any explosiveness or athleticism at all. I'm not going to lie, Ryan Spann should win this fight easily. And I told myself if this line gets under minus 200, I might have to take him. But I think that Ryan Spann, he's athletic, bad gas tank, but I think he's going to knock him out in the first round. I think he'll catch him with the long right hand. I think he's just way too explosive, man. And Brzeski's horrible, but like untrustworthy fighters. I can't trust either of them. So Ryan Spann, I think, is going to win by knockout in the first round. But anyways, man, we'll move on to the next one. Talk about untrustworthy. Another one. This is why this card is weird, man. I don't want to, lay too much. But Jimmy Crute, Marcin Prachnio. I've got a bet on this fight. If you check my Bet MMA, we got this fight under 2.5 at -115. I've recently seen the line go up, so we've got some CLV action there. But this fight, I don't know how it goes over. You know what I mean? And that's, if it does go over, it's going to be a bad watch because Jimmy Crute and Prachnio are going to be tired as hell, sloppy as fuck. It'll be a horrible watch if it goes over, but I don't think it will. I think that Jimmy Crute gets the wrestling going and takes Marcin Prachnio down. Now, Marcin Prachnio's takedown defense and just his grappling in general is some of the worst I've seen in the UFC. I mean, it's non-existent. And while Jimmy Crute's awkward, he's very hittable, he's not a good striker, his wrestling entries are quick, his jiu-jitsu's good. He should finish Marcin Prachnio in the first round, honestly. But if not, if he doesn't shoot takedowns, if he doesn't somehow get these takedowns, I think Prachnio has a damn good chance to knock him out. So I like the under here, under 2.5 here. This is a fight that if it does go over 2.5, both guys are going to need a ventilator. It's going to be horrible to watch, and I will be pissed. But I think the under cashes here. So you guys let me know what you think about that one. But for my pick, like I said before, man, Jimmy Crute should win this fight in the first round. Take Marcin down. Marcin got submitted by Modestas Bukauskas. Bukauskas doesn't have ground game at all. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing there besides his, takedown defense. He's not a submission guy. Jimmy Crute should finish this fight in the first round. Simple as that. So I'm picking Jimmy Crute here. Let's move on. Islam Dulatov, Adam Fugitt. Adam Fugitt is plus 425. There will be a time to fade Islam Dulatov. He's a guy who's explosive, athletic, but he slows down. He's a sprinter a little bit. There will be a time to fade him. This isn't the time, though. Adam Fugitt, not any countering ability. Pretty much purely just kicks from the outside and no boxing to really keep you off of him. He'll throw kicks, naked kicks. If naked means no setups, Dulatov steps in with a 1-2, knocks him out cold probably. First round, another one where I'm like 3 first-round finishes in a row. That's how I see it here, man. Dulatov, explosive as hell. He's athletic, and he's damn fun to watch for sure. Like I said before, there's going to be a time to fade him when he gets in front of a guy who's durable, tough, with good boxing, a good countering ability to potentially knock him out when he overextends. But he's aggressive, man. His takedown defense is damn good enough to defend anything that Adam Fugitt's got. Fugitt's coming off a win where I didn't even think he won. Fugitt is not a good fighter at all. Dulatov at -600 seems playable, but I think if I'm going to play it, I'm just going to play him by first round knockout. That's what I think he does here. Brutal finish on the Contender Series, but had some gas tank issues there, even in that fight. He sprints. I think he can sprint against Adam Fugitt and knock him out, though. Fugitt, like I said, man, he's constantly kicking in range of punches. Quinlan caught him a couple times. No really boxing whatsoever from Fugitt, and shouldn't be able to get this fight to the ground, especially early on. I think Dulatov will be good enough, maybe in the clinch when he defends the takedown, knocks him out from there. I could see that. But Dulatov, he should be finishing this fight in the first round. So yeah, man, I'm going Islam Dulatov. Let's move on to the next one. We'll be seeing some TikTok edits of him, and we'll probably be seeing some more TikTok edits. They're not even faced together right now, of Ateba Gautier, and he's fighting Robert Valentin. Dude, you know what this reminds me of? And it was a fight that happened this year, and I don't know if it's just like both of these, Ateba and the other guy, are similar, but kind of. Both guys, and I'm thinking of the Josiah Musasa fight versus Carlos Vera, and I'm thinking that this is kind of a similar one. And the reason I say that is because both guys, Josiah and Ateba, seem to be a little bit green and newer, but I think Ateba's, his striking is actually damn good. Like, this guy, he's not going to rush. He's patient. He picks his shots well. And I think that this is a fight that could potentially go to the scorecards just because Ateba's not going to rush the finish. He's got a lot of round one finishes, but he will take his time, and I do appreciate that about his game, and it's something really good to see in a young guy. Robert's dangerous, man, and I don't think Robert's dangerous on the feet, but I think he's damn dangerous on the ground. His jiu-jitsu, man, if you watch any of his other fights, he's dangerous from his back, whether it's cutting you open with elbows, kind of like a Nico Price or a Tony Ferguson. He can do that, and he can wrap you up in some dangerous positions and submissions. Ateba's takedown defense is good. You know, it looks pretty good. In his Contender Series fight, got taken down a couple times. I imagine Robert Valentin is going to try to get this fight to the mat. He might be able to. And he's dangerous there, man. There's no doubt about it. Might be able to get a submission potentially. That's the only way I really see him winning this. But like the Mousasi fight, I wanted to say that because Carlos Vera is a guy with a dangerous submission game, and Valentin's the same way. And, you know, Mousasi got caught up in that submission, and Valentin could do the same thing, right? So that's why I think this is similar. But Gautier, man, I think he's much better than the Josiah Mousasi is. So I will take Ateba here. I like his striking. His frame is excellent for the division. 81-inch reach, 6'4". I mean, guy's built, chiseled, you know. He's looking pretty solid, you know what I mean? Like I said, technique on his striking looks pretty fucking good, honestly. So I like Ateba here. But there's always that chance, you know, with these just submission guys. So I'll probably stay away from it in terms of betting. I might, like, later on throw Ateba in a parlay. We'll see what happens because I do really like his patience. You know, he's not a guy like Dulatov right here who's going to run at you and try to finish you immediately. He will take his time. So that's what I can appreciate about his game, and it's really good to see in a young fighter. So I want to say I'm going to go with Ateba by a later knockout. I'm going to go by decision, actually. I think he's going to be patient enough and just outpoint him because I think we'll see that from him in this fight. I'm going to go with Ateba here by decision. Francisco Prado versus Nicolle Veretennikov. Veretennikov, I can't believe this guy's still fighting. You know, he pushed the guy after the fight, and they gave him a matchup that he can win. I think he's going to win this fight, you know. Francisco Prado doesn't get enough, you know, hate. I don't want to say hate, but he's not good. Like, this guy comes in the UFC undefeated. I've been saying this about these fighters that are from, you know, Argentina or Peru. Their regional scene's just atrocious. It really is. And Prado's undefeated, beat nobody to get here. And his best win is over Ottoman Azaitar, who's cut from the UFC. So Prado doesn't impress me really at all. He's moving up to welterweight. I don't really understand why. I think that his pressure and his volume can be relatively important and good in this fight. But Veretennikov, man, this guy can fucking crack. Like, he struggles with the grappling a lot. If you watch any of his fights, those are the ones that he's losing, is when he's getting taken down and wrestled. If it's on the feet, he can keep it competitive and he can win this fight, I think, pretty easy. I think he can win pretty easily, man. Good kicks, good straight shots, and like I said, he's powerful, man. He's dangerous, you know. I don't understand the move up for Prado. I think he's going to be way too small. He just got schooled by Jake Matthews. No good moments. Didn't really land anything. I don't understand the move up. He's really small. Veretennikov also has a pretty solid clinch game if he wants to go and take Prado to the clinch and wear on him, hold on him there. I think he can do that. I don't believe in Veretennikov that much, but he's got way better wins. Even outside on the regional scene, he's got way better wins. I don't want to say better win than anybody Prado's beat, but I kind of almost think that, you know. Veretennikov, not a great fighter, and this is a low-level matchup, but I think that he's going to win this fight. He's powerful, he's dangerous, a lot of consequences in those punches. And I know Prado's pretty damn tough, but I don't know why he's at welterweight. He's not a welterweight. So I'm going to go with Veretennikov here, the underdog, at plus 125. And, yeah, man, we'll move on. I can't believe he opened at minus 185. That's crazy. Let's move on to this fight. Marvin Vettori, Brendan Allen. I'm a Brendan Allen kind of guy, man. I do like Brendan Allen. Minus 205 here. I think that Brendan Allen should win. You know, Brendan Allen's been training at Valley Flow, Bilal, you know, a lot of those guys working on their striking, and that's all he's going to need in this fight. Marvin Vettori, if he's able to pressure Brendan Allen and really, get dirty in the clinch, he doesn't do that. He'll be at range in this fight, and Brendan Allen's got better technique. He's just better at range, and if it goes to the ground, I don't think it will unless Marvin shoots. Brendan Allen submission game's excellent. This guy can take your back from anywhere. The only issue I always will have with Brendan Allen is his IQ. The mistakes he makes inside of the octagon, constant. And that was evident in his last fight with Fluffy, where I picked him to win, and I'm a Brendan Allen believer. Just constantly making mistakes and doing stupid shit, and he really could have won that fight if you watch back. But I'll take Brendan Allen here. I just think he's a way better striker than Vettori. Vettori looked awful in his last one. I think Allen would beat Dolidze as well. I'm going to go with Brendan Allen here. Minus 205. It's a little high for me, just because I know he probably won't finish Marvin. So seeing that, minus 205 is not something I'm interested in. So I'm going to go with Brendan Allen here by decision. Let's move on to the next one. Kyler Phillips, Vinicius, Oliveira, the featured prelim. I was going back and forth on this, man, because I do believe in Kyler Phillips, and this number is not really what I'm, like when I look at this number, like compared to how many people I've seen that are really confident that Vinicius is going to win this fight, it's confusing to me. There are so many people I'm seeing that are saying, oh, Vinicius is going to win this fight easily, but I'm not seeing Kyler believers at all, really. But when you look at the line, it's not indicating that, which is a little bit concerning, because I don't necessarily know if I do see that the side that Vinicius is going to dominate this fight. I don't see it, honestly. Vinicius is sloppy, and he can be countered. He can be taken down. Bernardo Sopai took him down and dominated on him on the mat for a round and a half. So he can be taken down. It's not like, I know Saeed didn't have much success with the takedowns. And I do think that if Kyler is able to get him down, he's got better jiu-jitsu. But Kyler, man, dude, that gas tank and that forward pressure from Font really fucked him up. I hit Font live bet during that fight, which was like plus 580 in that one after the first round, which was awesome. It's a toughie, man. It's a toughie. I think it's close. I think that Kyler Phillips wins a round here. But I don't like his dogness. He doesn't have that dog in him. And we'll see what happens here. But I do think that I'm going to lean with Vinicius. Vinicius is not that technical. And I've been picking this guy forever. Like, I've picked him versus Simone. I've picked him versus Saeed. I've picked him versus Sopai. I've picked him in every single fight he's had. So I believe in him, and I've been able to predict his fights correctly, but I do think that Kyler is going to be able to land some good shots early on and potentially take him down. Vinicius is strong, physical, and big, which I do like, and he's got a lot of dog in him. He can be countered, though. Like, guys, I know he's got all these finishes, and I know he seems, he's pretty tough, but he can be hit, and he can be knocked out. It's shown, so I wouldn't be too confident in Vinicius, but I am going to pick him just because I like the cardio and the pressure that he will be able to, emit here. So I'm going to pick Vinicius. I'm not too confident, though. I see people all over it. I wouldn't be too confident about it. I like the kicks from Kyler, and I think he's an underrated underdog in this one. But I'm going to stick with Vinicius. I'm not too confident, man. I really am skeptical about it, but I'm going to go Vinicius. Let's move on. Michael Johnson, Daniel Zellhuber. I got to go Daniel Zellhuber. Michael Johnson, old as hell, and I know he's still got that crazy hand speed. He's coming off a win versus Ottoman Azaitar. This is a really big step up from that. And I know that Michael Johnson's fought everybody. I understand that. But Zellhuber's long. He's rangy. He's got a really good reach, and I think he can outlast Johnson. I don't think this is minus 600 because I'm just not a Zellhuber guy. I'm not a Zellhuber really big believer, but I do believe that in this fight, he's longer. He's got good straight shots and good clinch game, good kicks. I think Zellhuber wins this fight. He better win this fight. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't beat Michael Johnson at this age, my boy, you're going to have some issues, especially moving on, in later on into your career. So Daniel Zellhuber should win this fight. I think he'll win by knockout later, though. I don't think he'll finish the fight early. I'm going to go Daniel Zellhuber, and we'll move on to the next one. Dan Ige. versus Patricio Pitbull. I don't know why this is lagging like this, but I'm going Patricio Pitbull, man. Dan Ige is minus 220. Guys, just look at Dan Ige's resume. And I know that I shouldn't base things off this, but this guy hasn't beaten anybody good. Really, I mean, like, that is at a good level. Has he? His best win is Sean Woodson. You know, on paper it could be Barboza, but if you watch that fight, he didn't win that fight. You know, so Dan Ige is just not a minus 220 guy, especially against a fighter like Pitbull. And sure, Pitbull threw nothing in his last fight, but this is a completely different matchup. Dan Ige is not going to be dynamic with the kicks, moving around. You know, like, he'll be in front of him. And Pitbull, good calf kicks, solid boxing. I would say that the better boxer at this point is probably Dan Ige. But I don't think that Dan Ige has the calf kicks that Pitbull has. And I don't think that Dan Ige has the wrestling that Pitbull has. Guys, I know Dan Ige's wrestling. People want to talk about it all the time. And there's good jiu-jitsu. Oh, he's got jiu-jitsu background. This guy got his back taken by Lerone Murphy. A lot of different fighters that I don't think are good. I think that Pitbull can take him down. You know, like, I don't mean to shit on Lerone Murphy, but he's not a good wrestler. Like, he really isn't. Not a great wrestler. I think that Pitbull's got better jiu-jitsu and wrestling than him, and I don't think that's crazy to say. So I think Pitbull holds the advantage on the ground. Ige's good. He's powerful. I think Pitbull's faster than him as well. So I'll take the underdog at plus 180. I don't think he'll look plus 180 in there. Ige's, you know, hits hard. He's younger, but really, man, this guy has beaten nobody. And every single step up in competition he gets, he loses. And it's simple as that. So I'm going to go with Patricio Pitbull here at plus 180. We'll move on to the next one. Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. This is a featured fight on a pay-per-view. Don't let anybody tell you that this card is good, by the way. It's a horrible card. I don't care what anybody says. This card is not good. And I will say that there's maybe some fun matchups here, maybe some good finishes, but it's not a good card. I hate being like that, but I only say that because I can't find any betting spots on this card that I like a lot. I haven't found a lot. You know what I mean? So that's the only reason I say that. I'm going to go with Kevin Holland here. You know, D-Rod, old, slow. He has good volume punching. I picked him to knock out Santiago Ponzinibbio, and that was more of a Ponzinibbio diss and me hating Ponzinibbio. I didn't really pick D-Rod because I thought D-Rod was a killer or he's good. It's more of Santiago Ponzinibbio's chin. Like, he just can't take punches, you know. He's got the worst chin in the UFC, and the next person he fights, it could be fucking Joe Solecki, and I'd pick Joe Solecki by TKO. So I'm going to go with Kevin Holland here. I think that he's longer, more athletic than D-Rod. If D-Rod can pressure, come forward and extend some combinations, maybe he can do all right. But this guy's Kevin Holland went toe-to-toe with Maddalena. You know, D-Rod's nowhere near that level. So this should be Kevin Holland. Minus 460 is on Holland. I can't do it, man. Like, there's just, look at how many untrustworthy fighters there are on this card. There's just so many of them that it's just hard for me to find spots. I'm gonna go Kevin Holland here. Let's move on to the next one. Paulo Costa and Roman Kopylov. Now, I've been seeing people saying if Paulo Costa comes forward and he pressures, he's not gonna do that though. Like, do you really think he'll do that? And if he does do that, he's probably gonna win, but he's gonna eat some shots. He can't wrestle Kopylov, and if the fight's at range, I think that Costa hits harder. But he's not as good at range. I don't think that Kopylov should be minus 224. Costa's got a nasty left hook. That's something when I watch Costa, nasty left hook. But this is a fight, I like the southpaw matchup for Kopylov. I'm really liking that he's the southpaw here. Those back weapons are very good. I think they play into Costa's weaker weapons. I don't want to say weaker, but Costa to me has a really good left hook and a really nice jab. I don't think he'll be able to get those going in this one. So to me, Kopylov, the cleaner striker, been looking better recently. I always worried about the cardio of Kopylov, but he really showed me it wasn't a huge problem versus Chris Curtis, who's a tough test. I picked Chris Curtis in that one, and Kopylov looked great. dealt with the pressure well. Boxing looked well, and the kicking game from Kopylov, as we know, is just incredible. Costa, man, I think he's finished. I think he's finished. Big combinations, heavy hitter, explosive. Doesn't take calf kicks too well. Don't think that'll be a huge problem here. But, man, it's just basic kind of striking. If he's able to pressure Kopylov, sure, I think he can maybe win, but I don't see it happening, man. I think Kopylov wins a 29-28 decision. I do think Costa's going to be able to win around maybe the second or the first. Not to mention Costa's cardio is not great either, so I think that Kopylov wins 2 rounds here. I think he's going to win the second and the third round, and I think he wins the fight. Roman Kopylov will be my pick. Let's move on to the main event. Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier. The line, pretty interesting, man. Pretty interesting, and it's not loading up for me. But the line, I believe, oh, there it is, minus 140. Minus 140 on Max Holloway versus Poirier. I don't know how I feel about that. Because when you watch those last 2 fights, or at least the last fight, Max was getting tagged with that right hook from Poirier over and over and over again, and it was concerning. It seemed like Max's head was magnetizing to the right hook, really. And that's not just something that goes away. That's not something, he was little, or he wasn't filled out at 145. You know what I mean? That's a skill thing. Poirier, I really don't like Poirier. But he's always a fun, entertaining fighter, and it'll always be hard for me to sit here and pick someone who's retiring on their fight, and we know it. It's just not the same motivation, man. That in my eyes, and we never see these guys win on retirement fights. But when it comes to the skill sets of both guys, I do think it's a very close fight. But what I will say about Max Holloway is I feel like his last 2 performances have been some of the best of his career. And I know he got knocked out by Ilia Topuria, but we've seen what Ilia's been able to do, and we know how good he is. And I do believe that Max was competing a lot in that fight. I think it was 1-1. I had Ilia winning the first and Max winning the second. It was a tight fight, not dominant. And I think that Max has looked good. Obviously the Gaethje dominated Gaethje, knocked him out unconscious cold in the 5th round. Amazing knockout, an amazing performance, and dominated that fight. And I really, like I said, man, I think these last 2 fights he's looked really, really good. And I know he's 33, he's been in the UFC forever. But man, I can't deny that this guy's looked really some of his best in these last 2. And as for Poirier, last 2 fights, I don't think he's, the Makhachev one, whatever, looked pretty good there. But the Saint Denis one, man, he got walked down. You know what I mean? Just pretty much landed whatever he wanted. The Chandler fight, a little bit hairy. I think that Holloway's looked better, man. And honestly, I think it's a tight fight. Of course I do. But I got to go with Max here, man. He's not planning on retiring. That will and drive to still get that rematch with Ilia and still be a champion is still there with him. And going into your retirement fight, man, it's fuck, dude. I don't know how to feel about that. It's hard for me to pick someone. It'll always be hard, even if it's my favorite fighter. They're retiring. They tell me they're retiring, or they tell the world that they're retiring. It'd be hard for me to pick them, man, and it's just the way it is. I'm going to go with Max Holloway here. Yeah, man, that's going to be my pick. I'm going to go Holloway by a decision. I do think Poirier will compete, of course, and I think it'll be a relatively close fight. I'm going to say 49-46 on all 3 judges' scorecards, Max Holloway. Actually, one judge will score 48-47. So 2 49-46 is 1 48-47 for Poirier. And, yeah, man, that's going to wrap it up for me. This card, guys, it's hairy. It's interesting. I don't know how much money I'm going to be putting on this card. But that's going to be it for me. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.